The New York Rangers have finally made another signing here, bringing back one of their players from last season, which is a nice depth move for this Rangers team, as well as we'll take a look at 5 trade destinations for Jacob Trouba to possibly land from Bleacher Report later on in this video as well. But starting off here, let's take a look here at the re-signing the Rangers made, their third kind of NHL move of the offseason, and that is bringing back Chad Ruhwedel, who ended up picking up at the deadline from the Pittsburgh Penguins for a 2027 fourth-round pick. It was a decent depth move there, maybe a little pricey for a guy like Chad, but still not too bad. A decent kind of number 7 guy for this Rangers team. Unfortunately, did not, make any appearance in the playoffs for the Rangers, but was a fine depth guy there. Ended up playing a total of 5 games for the Rangers this past season. Didn't make much of an impact, but still, looked fine in that limited sample size that he actually had. But he ends up signing a 1-year deal worth league minimum, which is $775K. But the important part with this deal here, which actually makes it quite a nice signing by Chris Drury in this Rangers front office, is the fact that it is on a 2-way contract, which is quite nice for the Rangers, as it'll save a bit of money in cap space there. About $775K in the NHL on this league minimum contract, but then it'll make about $400K in the AHL there. So about half kind of the price tag there. Not too bad work there by Chris Drury and the Rangers front office there to save a bit extra money and an extra cap space there for this team. Obviously, the money-wise doesn't matter too much, but the cap space is what's important for this Rangers team. That helps a bit there, so not too bad there by Drury. But taking a look now at what the Rangers defense core could look like in the pairs going into this season if they do not make any more moves, and assuming Chad Ruhwedel is coming in here to be the number 7 defenseman, which I would imagine he's going to be, you're looking at for the top pair something we have seen for quite a while now, and that is Ryan Lindgren and Adam Fox, more than likely. Then you have for the second pair there, a nice young kind of pair in K'Andre Miller and Braden Schneider, 2 very tall, big defensemen. Schneider being the better defensive guy and a little more kind of physical, where you have another, big defenseman in K'Andre Miller, but he's more of the offensive kind of guy, solid defensively, so it could be a nice kind of 1-2 punch there. And for the third pair there, more than likely we will see, if no other moves happen, Zach Jones and Jacob Trouba. Now we could possibly see a Jacob Trouba trade happen at some point, or can buy it out possibly, but as of right now, this is probably what we're going to see. Lindgren, Fox, K'Andre Miller, and Schneider, and then Zach Jones and Jacob Trouba, more than likely with Chad Ruhwedel as the number 7 defenseman. But I would not be against seeing this team go out there and try and acquire another player, whether it is a guy like Oliver Shillington, which I talked about in yesterday's video, because there are some still, decent bottom pairing kind of defensemen left available in free agency. No true kind of top 4 guys, but some solid depth signings still available in free agency, or guys who could play on the bottom pair there potentially. So I wouldn't be against seeing some more moves happen. If a guy like Chad Ruhwedel is going to be put in the AHL as well to have him as your number 8 guy, that would look great for the Rangers depth, which would not be a bad idea at all. But taking a look at what Chad Ruhwedel kind of brings to this New York Rangers team, as we could possibly see him a little more this upcoming season than last, as he only played 5 games and none in the playoffs. So taking a look at him here, he's a 5'11", 191-pound defenseman. He is a right shot guy as well, so maybe you look to add in a kind of left shot guy, which is a guy like Oliver Shillington there, so that might not be a bad fit at all. He's 34 years old, turning 35 in May, so obviously getting up there in age, but a good veteran guy, has a lot of experience, won a cup with the Pittsburgh Penguins, and has been a solid guy for the Penguins for a while there, has a lot of experience in the playoffs, and this past season ended up having a total of 52 games played, 1 goal, 3 assists, 4 points. He's known as a pretty solid kind of puck mover, not a great offensive guy, but a solid puck moving defenseman there. Decent defensively, and although he is only 5'11", he's actually a pretty physical defenseman as well. He ended up having this past season combined between the Pittsburgh Penguins and Rangers in only 52 games played, ended up having 90 hits and 44 block shots. Not too bad at all. The previous season in 47 games played with the Penguins, ended up having 51 block shots and 90 hits. And then back in 2021, 2022, his really only kind of full season he played in the NHL, having 78 games played. He ended up having 13 points, 4 goals, 9 assists, but had 86 block shots and 149 hits. So for a guy who's 5'11", he blocks a ton of shots and lays the body a lot there. Can be a guy here or there, maybe get an offensive point there or something, but for the most part, he's going to be a decent defensive guy, block a lot of shots, hit a decent amount there, and just play a decent kind of puck-moving game there. Nothing too crazy offensively or defensively, but just a solid bottom pairing guy who can hit and block shots, which is exactly what you want. He's also got a lot of experience in the playoffs there for a guy who hasn't been the kind of a full-time NHLer for a very long time. He has a total of 25 games played over 3 different seasons in the playoffs with the Pittsburgh Penguins. Won the Cup with them back in 2016, 2017 there, so not too bad at all. A total of 25 games played in the playoffs, a -3, no points, but has 50 hits there and 29 block shots, so not too bad, averaging 14 minutes and 35 seconds per night. He's sold, bottom pairing, depth defenseman, a pretty good move here by Chris Drury to bring Chad back. I think it's a fine move. Not an insane one here, but definitely a solid depth defenseman for this Rangers team. And next up here, just for fun, let's take a look at the 5 landing spots that Bleacher Report has for Jacob Trouba and a potential trade that could happen at some point throughout this offseason. The first team they have here are the Detroit Red Wings, and personally, it just makes no sense to have them on this list. I don't see it happening at all. This trade could have already possibly happened, and it seems like Jacob Trouba more than likely put the Red Wings on his no-trade list there. He had a 15-team no-trade list starting on July 1st there, for this upcoming season here, obviously. And he ends up putting them, I would imagine, on that list. That's kind of why this trade fell through. So I don't see this happening at all. He's not going to go to the Red Wings if he does get moved, in my opinion. I just don't see it happening. It's very, very unlikely. The next team they have here are the Buffalo Sabres, which I think is more than likely the most likely scenario if he's going to get traded, which I don't really think is going to happen to this point. But if he does, I think it's going to be to the Buffalo Sabres there. It seems like Jacob Trouba wants to stay, very close to the New York City area, obviously because his wife is doing her residency there at a hospital in New York. So it could make a bit of sense there for him to possibly get moved to the Buffalo Sabres. We don't know which teams are and are not on his 15-team no-trade list. So are the Sabres on there? I'm not quite sure, but it does seem like it is one of the more kind of realistic options for a guy like Trouba there, being that he wants to stay close to New York there. It is somewhat close. I mean, obviously, there are some closer destinations there, but I don't think the Islanders or Devils are going to go after him, obviously. So if a team like Buffalo were to go after him, it would make a bit of sense for them because they are a team trying to make the playoffs there. Maybe they want that big, tough, physical guy there who can at moments be a good defenseman in the NHL, but definitely has moments when he can be a liability. But he brings that physical presence there, can block shots, good leadership for a young team in Buffalo there. And they do have the cap space available right now to go out there and get him as well and eat that full contract. So it could be a possible scenario there for Trouba to get traded there. But like I said, I don't see it happening throughout this offseason. Maybe something happens next offseason, but as of right now, I do not see Jacob Trouba leaving this team, and I do think he'll start this season with the New York Rangers. Next up here, we have another team that I just don't see being a realistic fit at all for Jacob Trouba, and that is the Chicago Blackhawks. I don't see it happening at all. Right now, they have 6 defensemen who I think are pretty kind of locked into their team. Seth Jones, Alex Vlasic, Connor Murphy, Alec Martinez, TJ Brody, and Kevin Korchinski. I don't see them making a move for Trouba there. They have a solid 6 guys there. They also don't have the exact cap space available that would be needed to take on that full $8 million contract. So maybe the Rangers could retain a bit of money on that, but I still don't see it happening. I think they have their kind of core decor right now kind of set. They've got some solid young guys as well in the minors. So personally, I don't see this happening. Him going to the Chicago Blackhawks, to me, again, it does not make much sense at all. Next up here, we have a team like the San Jose Sharks, who I actually think would be a decent fit for Trouba there. Trouba might not like this move because he is very far away from New York there, but for the Sharks, it could be a decent move for them. They are a team probably slowly trying to get to the rebuild now after they got Macklin Celebrini, the first overall pick from this year's draft. They currently only have 5 defensemen signed, 1 RFA and Henry Thrun, but still, they could look to add 1 more defenseman there. For the most part, decent defenseman who would obviously be a solid defensive guy there, bring a tiny bit of offense, be a good leader, physical guy, block a lot of shots, could be a decent fit for a team trying to get a rebuild there and trying to slowly get back towards making the playoffs. That could work out for the Sharks there. We have seen some moves happen between the Rangers and Sharks fairly recently, so maybe we could see a thing work out there between Mike Greer, the Sharks GM, and the Rangers GM, Chris Drury. That could possibly work, but like I said, San Jose and New York are not very close at all, so with Jacob Trouba personal kind of stuff there, that might not be the best fit for him, but could be a good fit for the Sharks themselves. And the last team they had on this list was the New York Rangers, which I think is by far the most likely scenario for Jacob Trouba. Whether some fans like that or not, I know a lot of fans don't want to see him come back, especially with all the things that have kind of gone on with that Detroit trade not happening and stuff like that. Personally, I don't see this move happening. I think he's going to stay on this Rangers team for this upcoming season at least. Maybe he gets moved next offseason or bought out, but I think as of right now, we're not going to see a buyout. We're not going to see a trade happen. He's going to be on this team for this upcoming season. But anyways, in the comment section down below, let me know your thoughts on this Jacob Trouba situation. Do you want to see him come back to the Rangers here, which I think is likely? Do you want to see him traded away? Who do you think it could be too? And also, don't forget to comment down below your thoughts on Chad Ruhwedel as well. Do you like him coming back on a two-way contract? Let me know your thoughts. Also, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button for daily New York Rangers content. I post every single day, so if you are a New York Rangers fan, this is the best channel to be on YouTube. So subscribe and like for daily New York Rangers content. I'll catch you next one. Thanks for watching. See ya.